You're watching TVC Breakfast. It's time for us to see the headlines across Nigerian newspapers now. And on a Thursday like this, I have with me my regulars to help make sense of all of the headlines on the newspapers this morning. I have Dr. Dane Kere from the University of Lagos. It's nice to have you join me.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good
Welcome.
Morning. Yeah.
And journalist Dari Odufowoko is here as well. Dari, good morning.
Good morning,
Good to see you.
It's a pleasure.
Great. Now let's begin with Daily Trust. Daily Trust says, Guterres to Buhari, how to defeat terrorists. How to defeat terrorists. Says violence casting shadow of death over many Nigerians. UN okays fresh $351 million humanitarian aid for Nigeria. We're glad the world has not forgotten us, Buhari tells UN scribe. All right. Note that Antonio Guterres, the UN Secretary General, is in Nigeria. He's been here. He went to Borno State in Maiduguri, and he has met with the president. Moving to Blueprint newspaper. Blueprint says, Fayemi Oshomole, Akpabio, Badaru swell number of aspirants to 21. Okay. Fayemi Oshomole, Akpabio, Badaru swell number of aspirants to 21. We're talking about the presidency there as APC extends sale of nomination forms to May 10. Ekiti governor promises to end impunity. Jigawa governor says he is most qualified. Akpabio vows not to let Nigeria sink. Former Edo governor to tax the rich heavily. Nigeria wouldn't regret electing me as president. Oshibajo is saying that. Women flood Akure streets for Yahaya Bello kick against zoning. APC will remain united after primaries. Tinubu. All right, so these are all political dimension and dynamics and comments from, all the politicians. This Nigeria, his next presidential declaration, fever. Fayemi Oshomole, Akpabio, Badaru threw hearts in the ring. Promise to fix economy, tackle insecurity. APC, 18 aspirants, PDP, 15. All right? APC has 18 aspirants and PDP has 15. And it's still counting because we hear more people want to join in. Okay, that's this Nigeria. The Punch newspaper is next. Multiple candidates threaten Southern presidency. Leaders won 24 aspirants. Okay, Southwest APC leaders Ohaneze meetings with aspirants to canvass consensus. Pro-zoning protesters storm PDP APC secretariats, warn against crisis. Fayemi Oshomole Akpabio declare Ekiti governor hasn't governed state well. PDP is saying this. All right, all that on the front page of the Punch newspaper. Leadership is next. 2023 presidency, protesters invade APC PDP secretariat, want party tickets zoned to South. Okay, that's the leadership newspaper. And then this day is next, and he says, with over 30 billion naira from sale of forms, APC gets firepower for 2023 elections. Funds may put party in vintage position against opposition. That is what this day is saying. All right, if we have time, we'll certainly talk about we'll talk about this interesting dimension of things. Now, the Nation newspaper is next. Tinubu says many presidential aspirants, good for democracy. All right, Oshomole Fayemi Akpabio join race. Jigawa governor picks nomination form. PDP okays exclusion of 2 contenders. That was from the screening committee headed by Senator David Mark, former Senate President. From there, let's go to Nigerian Tribune. Nigerian Tribune says 2023 APC extends sale of forms. PDP postpones local government congresses. All right, that's Nigerian Tribune. Suspense as APC orders aspirants to sign withdrawal letter. Suspense as, that's the Guardian, that's a Guardian newspaper. Suspense as APC orders aspirants to sign withdrawal letter. Filling the form is optional, says Omisore. Fayemi Bagudu, Akpabio, Oshomole swell APC presidential aspirants, and Tinubu, the more the merrier. Long list of aspirants, good for democracy. That's what the Guardian newspaper is saying. And then Daily Sun is next. Daily Sun says presidential primaries, pressure mounts on INEC to extend deadline. APC pushes for extension, seeks other parties buy-in. A PDP chair resists move as party alters date for Guba primary and others. All right, that's all on the front page of the Daily Sun. So it's all politics today, almost. Vanguard is next. Vanguard newspaper says APC hawks pressure INEC, to shift deadline for primaries. Lobbied, failed to get buy-in of PDP chairman. INEC boss Yakubu rebuffs move. It's not going to happen. INEC is saying this. APC extends deadline for sale of forms, holds congresses next week. Oshomole Fayemi Akpabio Jigawa Governor Badaru Abubakar joined presidential race. All right, all that on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper. First News says Buhari in Ebonyi. Masob demands Kanu's release. Presidency. All right. Okay, that's what the First News has there. From there, let's go to News Direct. Telcos 40% tariff hike. Nigerians to pay more on calls, text messages, and data. All right. All that on the front page of the News Direct newspaper. National economy is next. 16 months after launch, border restrictions frustrate the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement. African countries still stuck with protectionist regimes. No single trade completed since January 1, 2021. That's the national economy. This is a strong topic for another day. All right, now, gentlemen, let's look at the issues here. It seems like politics is the loudest headlines across the newspapers this morning, and let's look at the story on the front page. Let's start with the story on the front page of the Punch. The Punch newspaper: multiple candidates threaten Southern presidency. Leaders want 24 aspirants. Now, if we look at the number of people aspiring for the presidency, in fact, the numbers are coming. In fact, we hear more people are still joining in the ring. Well, let me borrow APC leaders, position, saying the more the merrier. Ahmed Tinubu say the more the merrier. But on the other hand, looking at this strategically at a time like this, what do you think is going on? Dario, let me start with you on this.
I'm agreeing with the leaders who issued that warning. And the large number of aspirants, especially from the South, in APC, in PDP, remains a threat to the agitation that has to shift to that zone. It is common knowledge. It's not rocket science. How many presidential aspirants are you having on the platform of the APC from the North? 3, 2, thereabouts, 4. And how many are you having from the South? About 24, 25. More are still on the... We've heard of Tunde Bakari.
Yeah, exactly.
He's declaring. Ogun governor is declaring.
Yeah.
So add that to 24. That's 26.
Former Ogun governor.
And, former Ogun governor,
yes.
Amosun. That's 26 to 4. So if eventually politics starts playing out and the delegates decide to look at candidates from their zone, the 24 candidates from the South will share the votes in the states, 17 states of the South, while the 4 candidates from the North will share the votes from 19 states of the North. It's common knowledge that you want to win in such situation. Why are the candidates, aspirants from the South unable to back up the genuinity of their agitation with some form of understanding that, look, let's not go into this war divided. Let's not go into this election divided. You must first. The APC, for in particular, has been silent on the issue of zoning, but northern aspirants are picking forms. So it behoves on the aspirants from the South to tell themselves the truth based on the reality that there is no real of us. And then why are people, maybe they are being good party men anyway, because I suspect that there must be there must be intentions behind these moves of let's go and get the form. It may be their way of enriching the party indirectly to avoid the scrutiny of anti-graft agencies. Let's empower, let's enrich our party in preparation for the election. Otherwise, how will you convert 100 million naira in a race you are not even sure of coming 20th? Because politicians, when they want to be realistic, they know the truth. Look, it's obvious that there can be only one candidate. Now, 24 of you know your ranking in that party. They know who can win and who cannot.
You're watching TVC Breakfast, and we are looking at the headlines across Nigerian newspapers this morning, and to make sense of some of the headlines we have on the headlines today, I have Dr. journalist Dario Dufok. I'm giving you a doctorate degree now by myself ahead of time. And I have Dr. Dane Kere here with me as well. Dr. Kere. Now, before we went on the break, we were talking about the number of those aspirants coming out at this time, especially from the South. And Dari was saying that it's going to be like the South shooting itself in the foot. But what do you make of this anyway?
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. What I just said, that where so many people are to share from a few, obviously, what each person will get will be very, very little. But at the same time, we have equally seen elections where some persons, even national elections, could not even get up to 10. as if they don't have family members and the rest. So now we are now talking about primaries, which is restricted to a party, and not just the entire party, delegates and none of that. So, but I'm of the thinking that all of this is just a show. So many of them will not actually go for the election proper, the primaries. They just want to maybe secure a place should their party eventually emerge. Because in politics, your investment counts. And picking a nomination form is part of investment. A lot of people are just professional politicians who they know the game, they know what to do, how to secure a position. Some of them are looking for negotiations so that, okay, you bring all your people on board, let us work together, support. You try to, give and take. But beyond that, really, we must look, especially those who are going to cast their votes in this coming election. We must be critical about these candidates, because the idea of I'm a member of APC, I'm a member of PDP and all of that, and you just vote anything, I think that time has passed. We should begin to look at the realities on ground. Who can actually deliver? Though the party system, like I've always said, is not usually the best in this regard because it limits your choice. It limits, the choices the electorates are going to make. But at least out of every choice, make a better choice. Because at the end of the day, they are going to throw up candidates. We must rise above this idea of whether it is South or North. And again, for some parties, that is a crucial issue. But we must look at those people who actually have capacity to deliver. And
unfortunately, the claim is that everybody has capacity.
It's not true. They are not. We have seen it clearly.
But since this is not written on the face, how do you know those
track records? You judge a man by his antecedents.
Okay.
That's how you look at it.
To look at, and that is why I agree with Dr. here that the powers of the electorate to be the change they want usually lies on looking beyond certain usual factors and search for the unusual. The unusual in Nigeria is when we begin to ask a candidate, what have you done to deserve this position? For example, somebody was, I'm making an example now, somebody was secretary of an organization and was adjudged to have performed woefully. Then an election is coming and he's putting himself forward for the position of the chairman of that same association. And you still find some people saying he's eminently qualified. How? The moment he failed to live up to expectation when given a task, he became eminently unqualified. based on that antecedent. Because it is what we have seen that we will judge with. Many of these people putting themselves forward were or are governors of states. That's something to judge with. How did he fare governing his state? Where was the state when he came in? Where is the state now? Some of them had governed states before, and the whole world is talking about, oh, the foundation he laid in so state is what people have been building on. And people are talking about his ability to ensure continuity. People are talking about his ability to select, choose people who can perform. Choosing somebody who came and consolidated, somebody who came and continued. Examples. There are others that people say, oh, while he was governor, it took the man who came after him to save the state from destruction. That's an incident. People are talking about the fact that some people were governors and they could not pay salaries successfully for 2 years.
Okay.
Now you want us to make such a man president. Then you can expect that if his state, which is about 1/36 of the country, was such an acquiring tax for him, then the governing the country will kill him.
Okay. Now,
and we should avoid such dates.
All right. Dr. Kerry, the point there, another issue, another way to look at this is, on the other hand, this also would look, some analysts would say, this is also a reflection of the fact that there is no cohesion amongst, the South when it comes to, choosing candidates or candidates. All of these candidates are big wigs who should have aligned because they know that, okay, we have an opposition political party coming forth and then also fighting for the same thing and all of that. What scenarios would have happened if everyone would have aligned, together with all of their strength and resources and so on?
Yeah, I mean, you can easily imagine it if all of them were to come together to say, okay, among us, let us do this so that we field one person. Obviously, the result will be very clear what to amount to. It means that you'll be going to the war front with a united front, and you are going with all your arsenals, focus on the enemy. Kind of. In this case, you are going with all your strength in order to canvass for votes and probably get elected. Now, but again, if you are now looking at it from the point of view of, okay, why are there so many? You see, you must always look at it from the point of experience. Why are we talking about northern candidates and southern candidates? It's because each person that gets there serves himself. That's the real challenge. And unfortunately, they are not even serving the so-called north and the south. They are not. They are simply self-serving. Practically all of them. Who among them has actually done anything so ingenious that you can say that in governance, this one has done this one has done that? You paid salaries. What were you elected to do before? You did roads. What was supposed to be your job? What were you going there to do? And you see some of them say that I won't pay as if they are paying with their father's money or their personal money. I will pay salaries, I will pay minimum, I will not, as if it's their own. So practically none of them has done anything truly ingenious. Because we have seen other crimes. We have seen how places have been transformed. That transformation has never happened in Nigeria. It has not. Simply because of bad governance. Yeah, but among them you will now say, okay, as bad as they are, probably you might still find 1, 2, 3 that you can say first, second, third, kind of. That's just where we are. So for me, the main reason why this is happening is that we don't trust ourselves. We don't see our leaders in this particular scenario, political leaders serving. You see them giving themselves all manner of names, service chief security, service governor, or what do you call them?
Project.
All manner of names. Those names.
So many nicknames.
Unfortunately, too, the people equally give them all manner of names too, as if they have actually done well. The moment they leave, they are the same people who will say this one did not do well, and so it is a lifestyle that we have been placed into, and it's the system of governance that has actually given us that kind of a lifestyle. So the people have been placed in position that they cannot, even when they actually do a proper evaluation, they can't stand by the verdict of their evaluation, because number one, poverty is in the land. Number two, we have religious sentiments. We have all manner of sentiments, and unfortunately, democracy and religion cannot act. In fact, they have contrary moral principles. conflicting moral principles. You cannot run a democracy in a theocratic environment. So the moment, because in a religious environment, it is you either obey the prophet or the whoever and forget it. Yeah. But in a democracy, people are going to raise questions. I think it's part of the problem we have rights. Too.
People have rights.
People want to express their rights. People will query the whoever that is there. But when the priest speaks, he's the only one who is actually hearing from the Almighty. Yeah, so that's the challenge. Really. So it has created a very serious and challenging situation, even for the populace. And I think that the earlier the people begin to look at critical issues this time around, with respect to governance itself, how best can we get this thing done?
I really wonder if
we will be able to get out of this woes.
I really wonder if we have that political maturity to begin to look at those things critically as a collective.
That is where education becomes very,
very important.
Massive education.
Yeah,
massive.
we'll get there someday. Thank you so much, Dr. Danny Kere, for coming on the program.
It's always a pleasure.
Dario Dufo, welcome. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you.
I'm happy to be here.
Right.